Picked the wrong week to quit sniffing glue.
Morning, folks. How you doing? It's Tuesday. I did not do any filming yesterday on the Cerritos build. You can tell where my mind is at. On the Admiral Ball / Captain Ball / whatever uniform this is Ball build, because I was working exclusively on making the masks for the Cerritos set. I had them done when I did my first build, but I needed to formalize some things and fill in with some pictures that I didn't take or forgot to take or didn't realize I needed to take when I built my first Cerritos. Right there. Thank you very much. It's not plugged in. So that took a lot of yesterday, and I didn't spend any time on Lucy. And so I'm making up for that today. Now, I started today by doing some shoulder surgery, and to dispel the rumors. This is something I was always planning on doing. I knew that shoulder looked a bit wonky. And I think that perhaps what was throwing people off was the fact that I painted so much of it that led people to think that maybe I was done with that. And that was just me getting carried away with the color. That wasn't me painting a final coat on there. I knew that I was going to have to reshape this because it was sticking out so far. And luckily, there's plenty of meat there to reshape. And the fact that these uniforms do have built-in shoulder pads does help. Because, you would imagine the human shoulder does not go all the way out to that point. It kind of bends in there, and then, the costume has a shoulder pad. Well, the same thing is happening here. I just rebuilt that shoulder, and I had sculpted in the shoulder pad that I am now carving back down. If you look carefully in here, you can see the different strata. The gray is the original printed part. The white is the epoxy sculpt. And you can see how much of it is taken, or how much of that shoulder was actually shaved back down. Now, I have taken some of the frozen UV putty to kind of rebuild or reflatten this area where the shoulder pad is, because I want to kind of build that point back in. But I needed to take a lot of the contour down so that I could just build that one little bit of point back in. I was actually coming to the inside of I had actually gone through the outer wall of the shoulder printed part. I had shaved so much of it off, and that's why I needed to fill that back in with the UV putty. And I think the UV putty is a more natural match for this printed resin anyway, rather than using an epoxy sculpt. Well, not more epoxy sculpt, but rather than using any of the two-part putties, I wanted something that would set up pretty quickly. The epoxy sculpt is lovely and wonderful and still the best medium for tooling, but it takes a day for it to really settle, to really cure. So the first thing I did was draw back in these seam lines where the shoulder, the color shoulder pad changes, where the burgundy from the black demarcates. And the last thing I need to do at this point is to smooth this patch back out. But I think we're more in line with the actual contours of Lucy's shoulder now, and I can smooth that back out and repaint over it. This was always going to get repainted at some point anyway, but now I can do that. And I really want to have all of this manhandling done, woman handling, if you will, before I attach the hands and paint the hands and paint the head. I want to have all of the rough work done. It's sort of like I equate it with, you want to have all the framing done on your house before you start hanging the pictures. So right now I'm still working on the construction part, We'll paint, put a gray coat over this to see what our contours are like, and then we will put our final colors over this part, and it will be done, and I can attach it to the hips in the chair, which I consider done and are out in the other room. And then we'll be left with doing the hands and the face. Now, it's only Tuesday. I've got plenty of time to get that done this week. Alrighty, now that I can see the contours, I painted some gray over there to see the contours of the divots and such. I just put a light coat of Tamiya over just the shoulder pad area, and then I wiped it down with a little bit of acetone to smooth it out. And we're going to let that set for a while and then come back and do some final sanding on it. Well, good morning, everybody. It's Wednesday and we have snow. Yay! It's a trace. It's maybe an inch, but you know, I'll take it. Say what you will about your milkshake, but to me, it's the bird feeders that bring all the birds to the yard. They have been a flurry of birds. This is my nature moment. I haven't had one of these for a while. This is Lou's nature moment. This feeder here has been a flurry of activity this morning. And the nice thing about it is in the snow, you can really see the tremendous number of cardinals, which are not here right now. But it's really nice to see the vibrant red cardinal sitting out amidst or set off by the white snow. But now we've got everybody, all these birds that have been ignoring me all year. Oh, sure, now that there's food out and it's cold and they may have to work for it, they are noticing old Lou putting out filling the bird feeders. A lovely little visitor there. And like I say, this will all be gone in a day or so. It was a nice little diversion. Here comes somebody to the close-up feeder here. But it makes a nice diversion. I'm trying to wait for a cardinal to show up. Oh, well, there's one right at the base of the tree. You can see how nicely they show up against the white snow. Yeah, it's not quite Hitchcockian, but there are quite a few birds out here today. Okay, back to the matters of the more mundane. Took a little bit of mixing this morning, but I finally came up with a color for the undershirt that I'm happy with. Looks a little brighter on camera than it actually is. But it's that kind of bluish, purplish, grayish color that I think this might end up still being a little bit lighter than the Voyager undershirt, but we've got room to make that darker if needs be. I like the way it sets out against the skin tone. Might have to go a little bit darker. It didn't dry as dark as I was hoping. So there's room to go a little bit darker on that. I'm painting in the shoulder back in, just touching up and sanding, making this nice and smooth. You put the paint over it, you see where the bumps still are, and then you take the file and you gently file the tops of the ridges off, and you get something that is nice and smooth. So this is the third round of this. I'm mixing up my own burgundy. It's a combination of the scarlet red and a little bit of that tire brown or tire black, the worn tire black, which is not a dark black, but it's almost looks like a NATO black or a rubber black. Actually, it's more of a German gray and a NATO black. Rubber black has a little bit of blue in it that this does not. I think I am ready to start working on some skin today. I'm going to take all of my experimenting out on the hands. I don't want to do any experiment. By the time I get to the head, I want to know what my color combinations are going to be, and I'm going to know what my mix ratios are and all of that kind of stuff. I don't want to have anything left to chance by the time it's time to start painting on the hands. what I've started with is the light natural flesh, the New World's light natural flesh. I want to go over that today with just the regular neutral flesh and give that a good base with that. And then I'll probably use the light as a dry brushing over top of it to bring up the highlights. I have to find a good color to use for the wash, or the like the shading in between fingers and such. There is a flesh wash in this paint line, but it's a little too brown. I mean, it's meant to act more like if you're a military and you've got or you're a barbarian orc fighter, it's more of a masculine wash color, a dirty skin wash color. I need something with a little more pink in it than that for the female flesh color. So that's what I'm working on now, trying to find a nice flesh wash that is pinker. Okay, this is me just laying in basic colors on Lucy's head. Strictly following the sculpt as far as the eyebrows and the eyeballs and the lips. Strictly following what's in the sculpt. Just laying in basic colors. There's a lot more blending. Haven't done any what I would call eye makeup yet. That's just the pink around the eyes that I've done, but none of the eyelashes or eyeshadow or any of that. I need to go back to some better references and see what I want to do for those. Trying to work slowly so that I don't rush it and overwork it. I don't want to get too many layers. Now, it's true that once I put the overall spray of the satin coat, or the flat coat, I'm sorry, over top of that, it will minimize some of the brush strokes that you see. I don't want it to, I don't want the skin to look overly airbrushed, either in real life or photographically airbrushed. I want it to have some variations in it, but I do want it to be smooth. I want the color changes to be smooth. There is a lovely, and I mean lovely, skin texture that has been designed into this piece that is just amazing. You can see down to a level of, I won't call it acne, but you will see a level of skin texturing and pockmarking here on the cheek that is just needs to be seen to be believed, because you could get overly artificial and replicant looking, if that's a correct term, designs on this where they overcompensated to make her look really beautiful and therefore took all of the bumps and pocks out of the skin, and you wouldn't end up with anything as satisfying as this, which has some bumps and blemishes in it. So we're going to let this sit off to the side. I'm going to go back to working on the hands. I've put a base coat of that. See, I'm looking to see how the colors balance with the top of the tunic. Her neck sits in there very well. But you look at the imperial. I would say imperiousness is the term I want to use. It's the "don't blank with me" look that she's got on her face. Not the comedian. She's not pulling a face like she's giving an intentional look, but something in the way the eyes are going to be done. And I'm thinking that I want the eyes to be kind of up and looking up and to the left, up and to her left, to give this kind of more of an imperious look. Just the way the head is tilted, the way it sits on the shoulders, it's telling me that she wants to be looking up and to her left. That's going to be fun. So now that I've kind of got my skin tones established, I did the opposite. I put a coat on the hands, put them to dry, and then I couldn't wait to start on the face. So now I need to go back to the hands and start matching some of the skin tones down to what I've got in her face. Okay, it's time to take a break. I should tell you that I probably should not be allowed to have the amount of fun I'm having today. I'm going around touching on a little bit of everything. Repainting in that shoulder. I like the idea of the burgundy part of the uniform being more of a almost a traditional canvas type of painting, where I'm going in with different variations of the burgundy and the dark, and you know, and just painting in shadows and giving it a more mottled look so that it's not a monolithic color. I like the black being a monolithic color. I will continue. I've painted in some areas there, but I am going to spray back over those. I'm going to mask over the undercollar, the undershirt there, and the burgundy, but and spray the black. But I do like this, the fact that I'm giving it more of a textured fabric feel to it. I'm really digging that. So I'm having fun with that, but I'm trying not to overdo it. That's why I want to do it in stages. If you can see Lucy's hair there, I'm starting having some fun with going in with washes, and I'm doing a combination of the original rust wash with the sienna, and getting that into the roots, and then also going over the top with a dry brush on where's the color that I'm using for that. I think I may have put it back. Let me see. Put the camera down here and see what color I was using for that. I think it was, yeah, maybe the skeleton bone, just a very, very bright blonde, and I'm using that just to do the strawberry blonde accents just on the tops of her hair, and then I washed it back over with the rust, and I might go in with a very fine brush and bring out a few of those. But just having all kinds of fun with that. Again, I don't want to get so deep in the weeds that I am losing myself and just barreling through something. I want to take time. You can see the shading that I've got on her hand is very drastic there. We're going to work at blending that, but I wanted to get some of that darker color in between the fingers and on the palm of the hand. Palm of the hand is a good place to try out things because it's going to ultimately be hidden. You're not going to see it because it's going to be up on the armrest. So it's a good place to kind of try out things. And if you like it, then you can carry it over. But if you don't like it, then there's no harm, no foul. Right now, I think what I'd like to do is maybe do a little research on nail polish colors to see... I don't want to go with the stereotypical bright red lipstick and nail polish, but I would like to maybe find some period references on Lucy and see if she had a color that she used a lot, or maybe she did prefer bright red lipstick. We were going to choose both. We're going to go into that and see what is appropriate for the subject. Okay, so I found this really nice picture online. It's in the 50s, so she's a little younger here than you might imagine the figure is depicting. I'm noticing that her face is a lot rounder than the kit part, and that could have something to do with her being younger. But first thing to notice, eyebrows are very prominent, but they're not red. Obviously, they're finer and they're browner. Something to scale back the redness on. Granted, that was a bit of a cartoonish take on the color. Noticed here that the lips are they are red, so we do the red lipstick is appropriate. But the dip here, I know there's a name for it, but I don't know what that name is a lot wider between the peaks of her lips. The sculpt has it a little bit sharper and a little bit closer together there, a little bit more pronounced, so we can soften that up a bit. The pearl earrings give me a nice idea for what to do with earrings on the sculpt. Of course, the blue eyes tell a lot, and there is a red fingernail polish, so we can we can carry it over saying, okay, well, she did wear red nail polish in at least this one photo, so it's appropriate to match the nails and the lipstick, which is, I recall at the time, the fashionable thing to do. Very light eye makeup here, more of a darker skin color or a brown, not an obvious color. Maybe on the upper eyelids we could go with more of a color, but it is not a garish difference in the color of her, from the color of her skin. So we can kind of just go in with a darker version of the flesh that we're using for her, the makeup between her brows and her eyelids. Not overly rouged, but you can see a little bit of red there. Little pinkish hue there on the cheeks. Certainly restrained and dignified makeup. So I think from this we can get all the reference material we need for her skin tone and for the facial makeup. You've heard the phrase Betty Davis eyes. Right now Lucy's got Gary Mitchell eyes. You see, I did flatten the peaks on her lips a little bit. I also put the red back in. Did the red on the nails on the hands. Browned her eyebrows, took the orange out of her eyebrows. Also put a bit of that brown into the eyelid area to darken that eye makeup. I will go back over that and lighten it back up with a dry brushing of the light flesh color until I have decided what color her eye makeup is going to be, if she's going to have any great drastic color of eye makeup, or it just might be something very subtle. I can go back in here and just put a lighter flesh over that to kind of bring it back out. This is one of those things that you get very nervous about doing on camera, because you don't want to make yourself look like a fool, obviously, but also if something turns out really nice, you kind of want to have witnesses. Just doing a lighter wash over that and kind of bring down the color of the eyebrows a bit. It's coming along now. There's a spot of dark on her forehead there that we need to get rid of, and this is why it's important to move your thing around in different lights, because that's actually a shadow of that curl. There's a shadow of the curl that's happening right there, and if I continue to try to paint light over top of that, all I'm going to do is end up with caked light flesh colored paint there, which is not something I want. So knowing where, knowing your topography, knowing where something is that you cannot fight, like that's going to always be a shadow there. So I just need to know that that's not dark, that's a shadow of that curl. Then I can stop myself from caking on too much paint. Just putting a little bit of shine on her nose there. We'll put a little bit of a highlight here of the lightest on her chin. Alright, try to keep that up in camera. Just a little bit of her chin. Blend that out. Again, this would, like any makeup you would do, I imagine. I have no experience with that, but any makeup that you do, you would blot it and soften it. And I think I'm almost to a point now where I'm ready to put a flat coat over all of this, just to kind of lock in these colors, and then I can start thinking about putting in the eye color. Okay, work is continuing on Lucy's. Get ready to put the black of the eyes in. I need to put the blue. She's got very striking blue eyes, so the blue will go in next. Okay, this is where I am leaving Lucy today. I've got the blue in her eyes. I've not put in the pupils yet, nor any accenting colors or highlight or anything like that, and I've not done the gloss on her lips or eyes yet. But I am quite happy with how the rest of that is turned. I may put a little bit of a wash tint just up on her hairline there. I know this is paler than I normally paint my figures. It's got plenty of color inside the eyes or inside the ears and nose and such, but it's I haven't decided whether I'm going to put any mascara on her or whether my eye makeup is completely done yet. I want to see how it looks with the pupils in. But this is paler, but Lucy would be, her complexion was fairer than some others. It's not like she would have a suntanned look or the barbarian dwarf elf whatever fantasy colors. This is me trying to do a beauty makeup, so I might have to live with the fact that maybe I made her a little pale. Good morning, everybody. How you doing? It's Thursday. It's the gateway to the weekend, and you know what else it is? It's cold, baby. It's cold outside now. The snow, such as it was, we got yesterday. If it was anywhere near the sun yesterday, it's gone. It's already melted. But the stuff that was in the shade yesterday has refrozen overnight. It very cold last night. And it's, as a result, very cold in here this morning. I've got the heat pump on, but it is struggling to maintain the temperature I have set for it. So I'm extra bundled up today. You may or may not care. But today we are going to be doing some final work on Lucy. Now, I've got her top re-blacked. I've got all the shoulder happy. I painted all of that yesterday. I redid the black this morning. What I need to do at this point, and that's why I've brought the rest of the body out here, is I need to take some epoxy and I need to glue the hands in their formal or final position, resting how they're going to be resting. Now, what I was saying earlier about this wrist having some play in it, I want to make sure that when I hold the body down, that the wrist is firmly glued and in place, just like that. And then I can take the top off. The waist is still not glued. The waist, there's a bit of a gap at it, and we're going to have to deal with that. The body is not glued down to the chair, so we can lift the whole body up as needed once to work on it as we work on it, as I am putting the filler into the waist. But what I'd like to do is get the wrists in place, and then I can take the top outside and stepping out very, very briefly, because like I said, it is chilly, and put a flat coat on the top so that the black of the top will now match the black of the pant. It is close, but it's not quite. Of course, I'll take the tape off and all of that. And then the top will be ready for the final details, which is the rank pips and the emblem on the chest. Those will be the final things. I'll do that. I'll do that before I stick the head on. The head will be the final thing. But all of that can be done, and then I can take some epoxy around her waist and then plop her waist in place, and then address any gap that might still be there with some steel stick and probably some more black paint, just touching that up. But that'll finish everything except the head. The head is mostly done. What I've got to do today is put the black irises in, and then of course the highlight of the eye, and then the clear over the eyes and lips. But I slept on this last night. I didn't actually sleep on the head. I slept on the concept of the head, the idea of the head. I slept on that, and I came back to it this morning, and I looked at, I'm going to try to find a 80s, 70s or 80s picture of Lucy, because this is more or less the older Lucy, and what I've got references for are the young ingenue Lucy, and her face was a lot rounder then. And I'm noticing the cheekbones here and a little bit more of the prominent nose that's on this sculpt. So I want to check against an older Lucy and maybe use that for a reference for some eye makeup, just a little bit more color, see if there's anything else I need to do to this head before I put the final flat coat on it. And then once it's had the final flat coat, I can use the Tamiya clear on the lips and the eyes and pop it on the body, and we'll be done. And that may happen today, that may happen tomorrow. I am also working on Cerritos masks. I did a stupid thing. Well, not a stupid thing, but something in retrospect you might consider odd. I'll explain it here because I'm not making a video of the new Cerritos set. I use yellow vinyl. I use yellow vinyl for everything. It's a low-tack sign vinyl. Actually, it's a car painting vinyl. It's meant to come off easy without taking the paint off underneath. And it's yellow. Well, that yellow happens to be the same color as the stripes on the Cerritos, so it becomes very confusing when I am painting and taking pictures of it, whether I'm taking pictures of paint or vinyl. So I'm making a whole new Cerritos. Actually, it's going to be another ship. I'm making a whole new saucer with red stripes so that you can see that in the pictures that I take. You can see what I'm doing better. So that's why. But I've got to get both of these things out. So while one is drying, I'm working on the other, that kind of thing. But I'm not putting that on camera. So a little bit of epoxy, and we can put these hands in place. I'm thinking, maybe not epoxy, maybe simply CA would do, because epoxy might take a little while and CA is instant. So let's get the CA out. I've got it here. And we're going to put a little CA. We're going to start with the left hand. And we're going to put CA, and I'm going to try very carefully not to splash it up or let it ooze up along the cuff of her arm. So you know what? I think I'm going to put a piece of paper underneath. No, that's no good, because I need her hand to drape. I need her hand to drape over the arm. So let's do this and position it. And what do you know? Bingo bango. That's it. Now we've got more support on this hand than we've got on the other one. So this one is going to hang out, literally hang out in space. So she's sitting in the chair. Her hand, her wrist, his hand is in the sleeve. Hold it, hold it, hold it. And we're glued. Okay, lovely. That went really well. Okay, so now I can strip the tape off of the top and then get this ready to take outside and do the flat spraying on it. Okay, I stepped outside for 2 seconds to spray this and brought it back in. She looks like a bit like a demented piano player at this point. But we are good. We are going to let this sit and dry and cure and do all of that stuff. We're going to put this in another room along with the rest of the chair so that I can maybe do some eyeball painting now. So I'm continuing to do more research on slightly older Lucy. And I'm trusting in pictures. Now this is from the Alame stock photography site. I'm trusting in more like things like this, which looks like this says this is. I'm looking for a event. I don't see what it is. Maybe it's from the Here's Lucy show. But I'm looking at the eye makeup specifically. It's very subtle, but it's almost a grayish purple. but it's like I say, it's not garish. I did notice in a lot of her photography that her eyebrows were almost cartoonishly prominent, and that's not necessarily a look I want to go. I want to do something a little bit more subtle than this, but you have to be careful using a lot of the images that you see from the Lucy show, the I Love Lucy show, because those are colorized, and you can't trust something that was colorized. They artificially amp up saturation on colors for those to try to overcome the gray tones that are underneath. So something like this is going to be much more realistic than that. Or I'm looking for events that are maybe under the 60s or 70s studio lighting from the Here's Lucy show, more modern than the I Love Lucy show or those older ones. A lot of the stock, or a lot of her, let's say, the shots that are used for publicity are heavily colorized or accentuated. Now, something like a Dean Martin roast or an Academy Award presentation, that, see, you can see how artificial these colors are. Even this up here, you can see is very overdone. But something like, maybe an image where she wasn't originally in black and white, I guess is the thing. Something like this will give me a better skin tone. Some of these stock photographs that are publicity shots are heavily tampered with, shall we say. Something like this that seems to be a more casual or candid. Now, see, you might like something like this, but you can see where it's been amped up and retouched a bit. So this is something from the era that I'm looking at, and that's the Here's Lucy. I just wish the sculpt had her actually smiling. You don't see any teeth in the sculpt. It's the closed mouth smile, which is very much like this. But here, even at this, you can see this is back to that Lame site. But even at this, which is a little more staged and a little more heightened, you can see a little bit of a purple, and a heavier of a mascara, and a little bit of purple highlighting. I think that's what I'm going to shoot for on my eye makeup, just to add a little bit of color in here. But there's that closed lip smile, and her skin complexion is very fair. That is something I noticed in a lot of these. It is exceptionally fair. There's not a lot of pictures of a well suntanned Lucille Ball anywhere, or Lucy Arnaz, something like this. You can really see that her skin, even as she aged, was very light. So there's not a lot of sense to, again, this is, no, it's not at 23 years old. That's a misleading headline. But these pictures of her, she died in 89, so not at 89, she died in 1989. But something like you can see, her skin was very much lighter complexion, as is true with most natural blonde / redheads. I know that her hair color was played up for television, and for color television specifically, because there weren't. She made her bones as a redhead, but wasn't a redhead at birth, shall we say. So yeah, again, we're back when she got much older. Of course, her face rounded out again, but it does seem during those Here's Lucy days that her face was much more angular and much thinner. So you take that. I don't know what this is. Let me see if I can't raise it. I can't. I'm just zipping around the internet here, kids. I'm sorry. But I'm looking at the Here's Lucy era, and her face is much, you might say a little more angular there. But yeah, okay. I think I got what I need to know to finish off and to finish off her look, and that's why I am choosing the older Lucy than the I Love Lucy 50s era. Okay, I love this little bit of purple. I'm like eyeshadow mascara. I'm trying to find a way to show it to you in the. I can't, whether it's coming out on the camera, I can't really tell. Yeah, just a little bit of purple there. Not Jokerish, not going that way. Just a little bit of highlight there. I like it. Okay, now it's time for the biggie. Time to paint in those pupils. All pupils on deck. School is in session. I have a brand new brush for purposes. Tiny, tiny hairs. Gonna paint in. I've had my requisite amount of coffee today, so my nerves are fairly steady. And we are going to... Am I going to do this on camera? Am I that brave? I'm going to do it this way, and I am, whether you see it or not, is quite frankly secondary to me seeing it. So I will show you when I am done. This is the Model Air Black, which is just thick enough. There's one eye in, one pupil in. Now we're going to try to match the other one. Like I said, anybody can paint a Cyclops. Anybody can paint the first eye. It is the second eye that will test you. And this is no exception. Little wall-eyed. Don't like it. Luckily, I think I should be able to remove it. Yes, the blue paint that I put underneath it yesterday is glossy enough that I can remove the black that I just put down without jeopardizing anything else of what I have painted so far. Okay, knowing that, I need to move the pupil just a little bit to the inside. I had it looking too far to the out. Doing this on camera is very much like a high wire act. And for those who ask, what I have going on in the background is usually HGTV, usually some home improvement show going on in the background. It's just the soothing comfort of hearing somebody else's voice that's not screaming about some political opinion or other. It's just more soothing to me. Now I'm going in and putting in a little bit heavier eyelid or indication. I'm not going to be painting in eyelashes because that never works for me. But what I am doing is darkening up the areas on the eyelids where the eyelashes would be. I'm kind of in the Barbie doll, or not, maybe not Barbie, but the doll school of thought of just painting it as a monolithic line rather than trying to paint individual lashes. I did notice some smoky eye makeup in some of those photos where you kind of overdo the black part, and I thought maybe this was not appropriate for that look. I don't think the Captain / Admiral would have really smoky eyes. Boy, this tiny brush does make the difference. I always used to marvel about those people that I would see painting with like 1 or 2 hair brushes, and I would wonder how they managed to get any paint on them, but you do. It does work. For those of you who say they want to see me doing more actual painting, this is about as thrilling as it gets. So far I've kept my language to a acceptable level. But then again, nothing seriously has gone wrong. And I know I keep harping on it, but it's all in the sculpt. If the sculpt gives you a very defined area for you to put your eye makeup on, for you to put your mascara on, it makes it a whole lot easier than trying to pull those out of an inferior sculpt. Okay, now I may want to touch the blue on that left eye again. But I think I've got something there to be very proud of. I'm going to let that dry. I may want to touch just a little bit of that blue. I think I may have made the pupil a little bit off round on that eye. Maybe a little bit big. So I'm going to pull out some of this blue. See if I can work some backward on that. Now that blue isn't strong enough. The paint isn't strong enough to grab enough on a tiny drop. Let's see. If I end up painting over the iris again with this blue, I can certainly touch the black back on top of it. I think what was wrong in this left eye was that the blue was not enough. It wasn't big enough. That looks a lot better. Okay, by increasing the size of the blue on this left eye, I can touch the black back over top of that. Yeah. Yeah, that's what I wanted to do. Okay, we're going to let that blue re-dry, and then I can put the black over top of it. But the right eye I'm very happy with. It's the left eye that I want to retouch the iris on. But yeah, Yeah. Okay. Now walking away at this point is my important goal, is knowing that I want to let that dry and not rush it, because I could end up doing something to it that I will have to undo, and I don't want to have to undo anything. Okay, the chair is back out because it is time to join the top of the torso to the hips. We are going to mix up a little bit of 5-minute epoxy. Come on, 5-minute epoxy. We're going to mix up some epoxy, and then we're going to smash these two pieces together, and then we're going to let that sit. After that has a chance to sit, we will turn it over and assess how much gappage we've got, and then that will inform our decision when it comes to how much puttying and or filler we're going to have to use on the inside there. Again, she's sitting in the chair. How much of that we're going to see is anybody's guess. That's the kind of question we still don't have a good answer to, and won't until she is firmly ensconced in her throne. I want to be very careful at this late stage not to smear any of the... Now, she's not glued down to the chair. To smear any of the epoxy where we don't want it to go. So I'm putting it mostly up around the cone here. And we're going to let gravity let it roll down, because we don't want to get too close to the outside edges of this hip piece. I'm just doing a little bit of light buttering. If there is going to be a gap, these two pieces won't touch along this edge anyway. So don't know. Yeah, making sure this is at least somewhat in camera. And then we take the top. Now the top has dried. It's had a clear coat on it. And we're going to do that. And then we're going to sit her back in the chair. I see a little bit of the spillage coming out around the front. I don't want to smash them too tight together. There is a natural seam there at the top of the tunic from the pants. I'm not feeling a big gap around the back. It is actually seating there pretty nicely. Tunic looks to be a little darker than the pants. I'm not hating that by the time we had all of our clear coat put on there. I might have to do just the tiniest bit of blending. That might happen anyway by the time I put that any gap filler in there. If it needs to be painted over and blended in, then we can blend the pants in at the same time. But that's looking quite nice. Now, Lucy's head is ready to go on. Oh boy, that looks good. I need to put a flat coat on this. And then I need to gloss the eyes and the lips, and it will be done. I'm going to go ahead and do that now while this is setting up. And she's just sitting nicely in her chair. Okay, the body is curing. The epoxy is curing in the other room. It is now for my absolute favorite thing when it comes to painting faces, and that is putting the clear over the eyes and the lips. And I'm checking to see whether I've got any clear left in this jar of Tamiya clear. I think I may be out. I think it may have run completely out. Let me see if there's anything even in the bottom of it. Oh, there's a little. Yeah, there's a little clear in here. It's real thick, but I like it that way. So, I've got my special brush out. Got my Lucy head. I've got this ready to go. Ooh, yeah. We're going to start on the lips. We're going to do the lips first. We're going to do the lips, the eyes, and her earrings, since they should be pearls. Get this up in camera. This is my absolute favorite part of any face painting. It just adds so much life in 1 minute. A little bit in there. Now I'm going to do just the tiniest bit up in her nostrils. Just a little bit of wet nose. Also thinking maybe a little. Nah, I'm not going to do any ears. That would be too much. Okay, we've got the lips done. And now we are going to, I put my specs on, put my magnifying headset on here. We're going to do these eyes. These eyes. Dun, 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 dun. Oh, look at that. To quote Julie Andrews, these are a few of my favorite things. Now these eyes are so big, I don't think I am going to need to paint a white highlight on them. I think I will let the natural gloss do that, but we will certainly see if something needs to be added. Then I will paint a white highlight over top of it, but I don't think we're going to need it. That looks absolutely beautiful. Now this clear will find its own level. It's not so runny that it's going to run out over her eyes, which is good. And now we'll put a dot. I've got a string coming off it. That's why I'm doing all of this wild motion. We'll put a dot right there on her pearl earring. And then we'll put another dot right here on this pearl earring. That's beautiful. That is it. That is perfect. I am so happy with this job. I don't think I've done a face painting that I am any happier with than this. I am just making sure that it covers the entire eye. Wonderful. I'm going to clean that brush off very well because that's got some thick stuff on it. Set this aside and we should be ready to pop this on the neck by time I get the waist joint figured out, because that's going to have a gap in it. I need to make sure that that gap is full or filled in. Let me get my Tamiya thinner here. I'm going to make sure that that brush is, because it's clear paint and it's tough to see, it's tough to tell that you've got it all off. So yeah, okay, I want to keep that brush nice. Okay, Janeway, I'm sorry. Admiral Ball has set up, and we can see there is a massive gap right there that we need to fill in. And I think my fill-in of choice is going to be steel stick, because it's dark gray to start with. It sets up really quickly, and it's fairly easy to clean up, and we can paint over it fairly easily. This is a problem, but not really, because that's seated in the chair, and once we glue her down to the chair, you're never going to see that. So let me get up some steel stick and we'll start doing a little bit of cosmetic packing there. There, patch is in, and we're going to let that set up. Barely noticeable. Kind of fits in with the waistband of the tunic. But we might have to touch just the tiniest bit of paint, just to blend that the tiniest bit, and then flat coat over it one last time. But yeah, I just redrew in some of the seam lines here too. But good, let it set. Good morning, everybody. It is Friday. It is the last work day of the week. It is a nightmare around here today. I've got, as usual, about 12 plates spinning. I've got so many different things pulling me in different directions. But the most important thing is I have got to get Lucy finished today. And Lucy is on the 2-yard line. She is almost done. The last thing I need to do, other than attach the head, is I need to put a coat of paint, not a whole coat, just a touch-up of paint on her waist. Now, I used the steel stick yesterday. It has settled in marvelously. I've sanded it this morning. It is nice and smooth. What I need to do is take some of that black rubber color and just paint a little stripe around there, and then hit her body one last time, hit me baby one more time with the flat coat just in that area. And then I need to put a gloss on her fingernails. I need to attach her badge and paint her rank insignia. Then she will be done and ready to glue down to the chair. The head is done. I have decided against putting any artificial highlights in her eyes. They are big and expressive, and once the light catches it, it takes care of that issue completely. I did a last bit of touch-up on the back of her hair yesterday, where I noticed we still had some 3D printing nubs that I had not removed. But once that is glued in place, epoxied down, Lucy will be completely finished. That's not expected to take all of today, so I am not rushing to do that right away. Also on the agenda, I've got an order in from Steve. I've got to start working on that this weekend. I am also finishing up the Cerritos instructions, and I had to paint those stripes red so that you could see them in the pictures. So that's all of the plates I've got spinning today. So let me clear off the table. We will address Lucy right away, because that's the reason why you're here. That's the video that I'm making. So let's get Lucy finished up and ready for prime time. Okay, well, first, pardon the noise, but I did caution you that it was nuts around here today. The final act on Lucy here is to glue her head down, or epoxy her head down. Now, I am still up in the air about whether or not I want to epoxy her to the chair or not. It might be easier if I need to transport this, if I could wrap her in protective foam without her being in the chair. So we're going to decide that later on. But for right now, that is the last bit. I'm going to hold her head down. Actually, I don't think I need to hold her head. I think she's doing fine. I'm always concerned about when I use the 5-minute epoxy, if it swells up any, is that going to push her head up out of the socket a little? So that's why I'm holding it. Just a counterweight on it while that sets up. Oh, I do need to gloss her fingernails. That's one last thing I didn't do. A little bit of gloss on the clear gloss on the fingernails, and she will be done. I don't know if I mentioned this earlier, but along with the figure, we also got this life-size pin, a life-size badge. If you wanted to use this, this is the Desilu caricature of Lucy that was prominent in the early Desilu logo, not the later one as such. And I believe this was used in I Love Lucy as well. And you get this and a little magnetic thing if you want to make a comm badge out of it for your cosplaying purposes. You would stick it, I guess, on this, and then you would put, no, wait a minute, I think you put this on the back of this, and then this goes inside your costume, and it helps to keep it in place. Not something I will ever need, but it's a neat little tchotchke to go with it. There was also smaller versions of this that could be used for her insignia, which, again, I chose not to use because it's like Batman wearing a sign that says I'm Batman. And so there, I used this flower shape without really realizing that there's another one of those little Lucy heads inside the flower shape, but it's less obvious what it is, so that's why I chose to use that. I really didn't even notice it till I painted it that there was one there. But all in all, that is the Admiral Ball figure. I'm going to try to zoom back out far enough that you can take it all in. I really, and I mean really, enjoyed making this kit. Stretched me in a little bit, doing a typical beauty build. Now, I would like it. This is the pose that we're given. The expression on her face is very, very regal, very, don't blank with me, very stern, not stern, but important. I would have liked it maybe if it was a little happier, if the smile were a little broader. There are plenty of references for Lucy smiling. Now, I know back at the time of Desilu, she had little less to smile about, but I would have liked maybe, just maybe, if this character, if this design was a little happier. And that's strictly a personal opinion. It's very regal. It's very no funny business here type of thing. All business all the time. And I just, if I had my druthers, I would maybe, just a little curl up of the mouth, just a little smirk or something to lighten it up just a tiny bit. But that's me. That's easy for me to say because I know nothing about 3D sculpting. I know next to nothing about 3D sculpting in clay, much less, on the computer. So, it's easy for me to backseat sculpt, if you will. I like I said, I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed making the leather on the seat. I really enjoyed just painting this in and using different washes and different finishes. I did put felt on the bottom. She's not glued in or else I would turn this over. I did enjoy reshaping that shoulder. I hope you will see now that it was never intended to be as drastic maybe as it looked at first blush. But I do think it looks a lot better now. So that's it. That is Admiral Ball. That is the beauty build. That is the tribute build. That is the figure build. I lied. There are 2 stickers. I said there were no decals or no lighting. Well, technically I didn't lie because it's not a decal. It's a sticker. So next week, I don't know. I think we're going to go back to doing a ship. I don't know exactly which one yet. I'll figure that out. And there we go. That's a fitting end to the 2-week build of the Godmother of Star Trek, Lucille Ball, Admiral Ball. Like I said, I really, really enjoyed this kit. It tweaked all the right boxes. There was some sculpting to do. There was some metal painting to do. There was a beauty makeup to do. The leather texture, everything. I just enjoyed the heck out of it. So I'm going to have a hard time finding something in the stash that for next week that I'm going to enjoy as much, but I'm certain I'll find something. This is available from GK Garage Kit US. I will put the link in the description. Last week I was rightly chastised for not doing that, and it's something I fall down a lot, and I don't pick up those little details, things like I should be doing. People ask me what paints I use all the time, and it's like, look at the bottles in the video. I really just don't remember to do that. But I look forward to doing something like this again. This is available, like I said, GK Garage Kit US, and it's available in 3 different sizes. If you don't have this much room on your shelf, you might have room for a smaller one. At my age, bigger the better. So until next week, when we'll probably build a ship. I don't know. I'm going to take a long look at the stash. I've got an order to get out this weekend, and I've got Cerritos templates to finish and get those ready to go. We'll be building something. I know that for sure. So until then, be good to each other, be safe, be smart, keep warm. To my friends in England and in the UK, stay out of the wind. Don't get blown away. And I think that's it. We'll see you here next week. If I've forgotten anything, I'll say it then.